we start living inorganically and authentically from a very young age. And that's just kind of the nature of being a human, I think. From a young age, children are kind of influenced by outer perceptions of others, of society, of whatever. They start to develop their own perceptions of the world, and those perceptions end up altering the way they see themselves. And I think perception is it's created by like a number of factors. I do believe that culture, the way we're taught to communicate, social class, our influences from our family, that kind of stuff, it all contributes. It all kind of is put into one big pot and then creates the unique combination of whoever you become. But one thing we fail to really understand in adulthood is, we carry these stories with us through our entire lives. We become these adults, and we fail to realize that the perceptions that we adopted as children, they don't necessarily apply now. They don't necessarily hold any weight now. And so we continue to live under the shrouds and definitions of who we used to be. And the problem with that then becomes that often when we're masking, fear, doubt, rejection, whatever other reason, we're masking ourselves. The mask doesn't just cover the things that we see in ourselves that we're ashamed of, or maybe we don't want to share with others. The masks actually end up covering the parts of us that are like our natural way of contributing to the world. The mask doesn't differentiate between this is the part of me I don't like, and this is the part of me that's good that I can show everybody. The mask doesn't differentiate. If you're masking both. And so then, we talk about like attracts like, birds of a feather flock together, whatever. What ends up inherently happening then is the people that end up coming into your world, they end up liking you for reasons that aren't authentic to you. They aren't natural to you. And so the relationships almost become transactional. Where it's like, as long as you fit this box, we can be friends. As long as you fit this box, I can love you. As long as you fit this box, we can talk to each other. But the minute the mask falls off, because inevitably at some point the mask is going to fall off, right? It's a costume. This is not you naturally. So the cracks are going to show. And when that mask falls off and then that person takes off, you're like, well, what just happened? This happened to me. I speak from experience. It's not something that I'm proud of, but it is what it is, right? Like, I wore masks a lot in my life. And I had to learn after absolute destruction how to really be myself finally and kind of thrive in a world that I wasn't, like, up until now I felt very unsafe in, right? And sadly, most people, they continue to try to put the masks back on, and they continue to live that way as if like that's somehow gonna bring them a different outcome. And it won't. As long as you're living inauthentically, you're gonna keep bringing people into your world that are only gonna love you for the parts of you that are not you. The irony, right? You can't have any deep connection, true connection, with people who don't see the depths of you. And then we wonder why people are so disconnected from each other. Well, I mean, we're sitting here judging others. We're sitting here saying, this is too much, this is too little, this is not enough, you gotta change that, you gotta look this way, you gotta act that way. And then we're like, oh, everybody's so fake. Is it just me, or does that sound really dumb? Because I think that, I think it's not just me. But, you know, like, what outcome are you expecting? And it's, the irony here is that it starts with you. You want to attract better relationships with people, with love interests, with anybody. It starts with you. It starts with you showing up authentically. And now, being authentic doesn't necessarily mean that you're perfect. It doesn't necessarily mean that you do everything 10 out of 10 all the time. You're going to have natural aspects of you that are not maybe the best, or maybe need some, you know, self-awareness applied to them. But if you don't naturally embody all of you, you're not naturally embodying any of you. You're embodying whatever you're pretending to be. Because the pretending aspect of you, it doesn't differentiate. It doesn't say, oh yes, these are my good qualities that are natural to me, and I'm going to show those, but the rest of me I'm going to hide. No, it hides everything. The good and the bad. That's it. So, you know, if you're sick and tired of experiencing just people that don't show up for you, you got to really look at yourself and say, am I showing up in my world, putting myself out there, or am I showing up pretending to be somebody I'm not, and then expecting somehow to receive authenticity in return for it? And those are hard questions. That takes humility. And not everyone's willing to do that, and that's okay. You know, you do you. You're on your own adventure. But, you know, for me, I got sick and tired of having to deal with just people that were not good for me. You know, people I didn't feel that I could be myself around. People I didn't feel understood me. You know, people I didn't feel, you know, put in the same effort as I did. I had invested so much of myself in people that were hurting me instead of investing myself in being a version of myself and attracting people who loved me for who I was. I spent so much of my time around people that were toxic and draining and, you know, unfortunately required me to wear masks just like they wore, and then exhausted me in return. And every time I wore that mask, do you think I internally felt good? I'm sure there's somebody out there who can validate these experiences. It feels like crap. Because then you get up and you're like, oh, this doesn't feel genuine. This doesn't feel good. I don't feel great pretending, you know, to, I don't know, have a conversation about something that I'm totally not interested with people who are really, really rude and crass and offensive. And I know I'm not that kind of person, but I'm standing here pretending that I'm okay with this because that's what's required of me. That didn't feel good. Being in the room with people that I know that if conditions were any different and I was entirely being who I wanted to be, I would never catch myself dead in a room with those people. And then, of course, the minute I'm in that room, I'm shrinking. I'm losing every essence of who I am naturally because I don't feel safe. Because I don't feel like myself. Because I don't feel like this is an environment in which I can thrive in. So how does that help? It doesn't. It really doesn't.